Hello and welcome to the stream. I'm going to be attempting this again. Let's see how it goes. So on the previous thing that I was doing, I had a problem where I don't know, my brush just wasn't working. So feel free to ask questions and be a human being in the chat, and I will just be here drawing. I'm gonna pull my screen up in a second. I just wanted to make sure this actually worked, because if it didn't work, I was just, screwed. So I was trying to figure that out. I think it mostly makes sense now. Let's go. I'll listen to the stuff I used to listen to in my old streams. I don't have the camera up because I just wanted to do some line work stuff and not have like lighting set up and all that shit. But feel free to ask questions in the chat and I'll, answer them. Just gonna be working on this Gannon piece. I was trying to set it up on Patreon so it's like just, people from the Patreon can come hang out, ask questions, watch us live. But for some reason when I first did the stream, none of my brushes were working in Clip, so I had to figure that out. Clip has some pretty wonky stuff. Sometimes. Yeah, that's Steve's skull hanging around his neck. Gannon got to him. Gannon took him out. This is Music's Danger. That's the name of the artist. Protsky says, I got a similar look to the Clip Studio pencil used in Photoshop. Oh, that's cool. I have all of Kyle Webster's brushes. I don't really play with them too much, like making them custom. Yeah, the texture in this is just line work for the most part, and then the only other thing is I'll use that dotted brush that I showed, that like noisy one from, if you watched that basics video, the first one, that's the only other thing I really use when I do these. What file size am I working on when I'm doing a comic for print? It really depends on the comic. If I were to do like a painted comic, it would probably be pretty big, but if I'm just doing inks and then flats, as far as just single block colors kind of thing, then I would say the max dimension that I end up working at is probably around like 5,000 pixels or something, or more than that, maybe like 8,000. Have you ever heard of Mux Mool? No, I haven't. Is that an artist or a musician? Jacob Twitchell says, "Hey Dave, how's the impulsive snacking going?" It's going about as good as my impulsive masturbation, which is not at all. It's not good. Well, that's not true. I'm trying to stop. I'm trying not to eat when I'm feeling anxious. The only reason I mention masturbation is I know a ton of people who just, that's like the vice for anxiety. So everybody has their own thing they deal with. But I think I'm kind of a naturally kind of anxious person. So I'm trying to beat that habit and not get too fat. It's like that Rambo song. It's a long road when you're on your own. Do I ever go to Pueblo to see the strange rundown side of Colorado? No, not really. My wife has had to work out there a couple times, though. Oh, I realized. I was like, what's happening? I'm working on the wrong layer here. Hello. Which 4 artists would I make my Mount Rushmore of illustrators? I don't know. That's really dependent on what we're talking about. Because I have different favorite illustrators for different styles, different subject matter. Like you can go with pure skill on that, and then that would be a certain few names, and then you can go with coolness or style, or you know, so many variables. I'm pretty happy with how this is coming out. I'm not gonna be spending like a million years on these. The pen and ink things don't take me too long. I tend to get through these pretty quickly. So I wanted to show some of this process on here while we're just hanging out, talking. The first name that I'm thinking of for the Mount Rushmore idea of, artists is just for where I'm at right now in my mind. I've been thinking a lot about Bengus, the artist working in Capcom. Did a bunch of the original Street Fighter designs and things. That's my current Mount Rushmore artist. That's my first one that comes to mind, and then I have like Yoshitaka Amano. Who else? Who else stands out? Put Jean-Claude Van Damme up there. The music is Danger. I like Danger because it feels very Streets of Rage. Trying to force myself not to go insane on the detail, and I know you're probably like looking at what I'm doing and we're like, you're doing too much anyway, but I'm trying to resist. This is hopefully a tamer version. Sometimes my style feels like a mix between Ian McKegg and Yoji Shinkawa. Well, that's a big compliment, so thank you. Drop my Spotify. I don't know how to do that. DaveRapoza. I think he'd be very disappointed in my Spotify. Do I own any Noriyoshi Orai art books? I don't, unfortunately. I probably should. I'll put that on my OnlyFans Amazon wish list. If I had to pick a fight, a Ganon-sized duck or 100 duck-sized Ganon, no magic. A Ganon-sized duck, because you probably want nothing to do with me. You probably just want to shit and walk around. And I would terrify it over and over until its duck fat became so delicious, and then I'd kill it. And then I'd use that duck fat in all of my food. Hey, Darkstorm. What's up? When it comes to, say, the tusk shadows, how do you get it so clean looking while maintaining what looks like from here the same lines? If that question makes sense. Well, I just think of the shape of the shadow, and then I just kind of scribble within that shape. I'll show you. Let's do that somewhere else. Well, I'll just show you what it looks like if I just erase that shadow. All right. So the first thing I do is I just kind of draw where I want that shadow to drop, like that. And then from there, I just scribble within that while kind of wrapping the forms. I think it's because the brush is so small. I mean, this is like a quick version of it, but this is like because the brush is so small, those lines, they kind of don't affect it that much. It's not like a big problem, you know, with it blending with the rest, because they're so like imperceptibly tiny that it just looks like a bunch of dots in detail. Well, Darkstorm, I'm doing real good. Just chilling out. I wanted to make some progress on this Ganon piece, and I figured might as well use an opportunity like this to do some live stream stuff with Patreon, because I haven't really been doing that. I think I did it like once when I did the Q&A, like the first one, and I thought if I could figure a way to have it work, that I might as well take advantage of that. But yeah, not much, just trying to make some progress on this. Originally, I was just going to do Link as a one-off thing and just kind of hop around to other stuff, but I feel like I had such a positive response from the Link, and I always wanted to do a classic Pig Ganon. I was like, I'm just gonna do that. That would be fun. So I figured I'd knock this character out because monsters are pretty easy for me. There's a lot of simple forms and shapes. I don't have to worry about the character being super recognizable in that it's a human. I can kind of get lost in designing creatures and things, you know? I don't have to adhere to any one look too much. And it's also not like some super fan favorite kind of character that people are going to scrutinize. I mean, not that I really give a shit if people scrutinize anything, but yeah, I haven't really stressed over this at all. Just want to do something fun. Put something together. Protsky says it's pretty cool how you can mix the line art with colors later in the process. I still can't wrap my head around this, so I'm gonna stick with line art in almost everything I do. Yeah, I mean, I like to do things that kind of naturally work together. So if I'm gonna do a line drawing, I mean, you can go like with a approach that looks really digital, but I prefer it to look more like colored pencil. So I feel that those are natural, kind of like, what would you call it? That they, let's just say they go well together because they're in the same lane. So it's like if I'm doing lines like this and then I'm doing lines with a colored pencil, they kind of just blend together anyway. So that's mostly how I approach that. Like kind of like when I was doing the if you ever saw the Berserk pieces I put out, that was the idea with that. Or not the painted one, but the one that's Guts and Casca. It's just a colored pencil approach, but done digitally. I'm trying to knock out all of the time-consuming stuff first, so that's why I just did the face, and now I'm doing the hair, because it's just a bunch of little tiny details, and then once I stop doing this, I won't have to do the same noodling over and over. I just find this part to be the most time-consuming. And then when I get over into doing like shoulder pads and stuff, I just fly through it. I don't have to think about it. Did I ever get my iPad Pro? Yeah, I did. I actually got a bunch of brushes and things, and I set it up with Procreate, and I just have to get used to it. I started using it, and I was like, oh, this still doesn't feel as good as my process on the computer. So I just have to get over that, and then I can start doing more with it. I haven't really given myself a ton of time with it yet to get used to it again. I used to work in Procreate years ago, but right after I found this approach, I was like, oh, that doesn't even touch this. So I thought maybe all of the new features and things would kind of address my problems, but who knows? maybe they do, and I haven't really given it a chance yet. So I'm gonna come back to it and see how I feel. I mean, I'm not just gonna not use it, because obviously I bought the thing. I'm just gonna waste money. Janitor says, Dave, I love your art, thank you. For your next basics art video, could you do it on your approach to armor or textures? Sure. I was actually thinking about doing a breakdown of how to render textured forms and things on simplified shapes, because I felt like I didn't really touch on that too much. So we'll see. I just gotta find a way to kind of package it all together to make sense. How I wanna... Do I want to show like a piece or just a bunch of tiny examples? I think the smaller focused examples are better. I'm trying to see what elements I want to repeat in this. So. Oh, there's a question in the chat about the Discord. And this kind of goes for anybody on here who's having trouble getting into the Discord. If you want access to that, all you have to do is link your Patreon account to your Discord, and you'll automatically be added. Because I didn't know why that was happening either. I was like, how come some people are being added to this and other people aren't? And it's just because you have to link your Discord account with your Patreon account. Yeah, I had to look up all that stuff. Because Patreon doesn't really tell you what's wrong. I had to like find people posting about it online. No, I'm not trying to dumb down everything to make it digestible, but I am trying to simplify what I'm thinking about into something that's actually teachable. Because that is the problem with doing something in your own head too long, is that it's the same thing as when you go to somebody's like work or something like that, and you're trying to get help with a thing, and the person who's like short with you as far as you not knowing whatever they already know. It's like that attitude, you know, of how come you don't know this? Don't you work at Subway sandwich shop? And it's like, no, I don't. No, I don't, stupid. And so like you have to kind of forget what you take for granted and then find a way to communicate that. So that's more what I mean. It's like I'm trying to see what that all is and how to best communicate. God, this breakdown in the song stinks. It's really funny about this is I like rarely listen to music like this, but I feel that this, as far as playlists go, this is very boring. So it's like, not boring, but it's just easy. You just kind of can hit the middle. Because most of what I listen to is either a joke or, I don't know, an extreme of one thing or another. It's nice to go right down the middle. Have I given a listen to Mouth Dreams? No. It sounds erotic. Do you think you should surround yourself with artists who are better than you to become better? Yes, if that's your goal, like if you want to, I think that in general you should surround yourself by people who are going for something. If you're trying to improve what you're doing and you're trying to have a better attitude about life, then I think that applies across the board. You know, you don't want to hang out with people who just have no direction and don't have any motivation, or kind of talk down what you'd like to do with your life, or make fun of anything about you know, your dreams, whatever. I think that's a problem for sure, but I don't know. I don't surround myself with artists that are great or anything like that. I never did. I've been a freelancer for years, like 15 years, so, or longer than that maybe. And I've just been self-directed. Now I know that that's not right for everybody, but just me speaking to it personally, I never did that. But I think that that's helpful in any case, because it's real easy to kind of run as fast as the whatever fastest person in your class, fastest person in your circle, whatever it is, the best of your group. So if you're in a really great group and you have positive people around you that are all working hard, then they're going to elevate everybody else too. That's pretty natural. I don't want to listen to this again. I feel like I want to listen to something dumber than this. Maybe I was right when I was listening to more gothic music. Let me see. Do you want to know what I actually listen to? I listen to stuff that makes me laugh in my head. So I have this playlist called Dog Shit, and it's all the dog shit, like raver songs. And I don't even listen to music I like. I just listen to music that makes me think of stuff, makes me smile. So this is one of them. So this is what I actually listen to when I draw stuff like this, because it's so the opposite of what I'm doing that it makes me laugh in my head. And then I kind of think of comic stuff while I'm working. And it's nice to have scenarios play out in my mind. So I'm always kind of doing something else while I'm doing this. God, I feel like I'm watching a late night order this CD now infomercial. The problem with music like this is that if you do have a problem with anxiety and masturbation, this is going to set it off. Man, when the dude's rapping these, it just kills me inside. It's a sad reality. like if you're wondering what I listen to when I write the Garfield comics, it's this. it's this, and it's ASAP Ferg. You gotta get into a certain headspace. Riley says at one point they would have used this song to advertise Zelda in the US. Absolutely. And I would have bought it. I always like the thought of somebody just coming into one of these streams and then just hearing this music and being like, wow, it's a lot different than I would have thought. That's really different. That's what you listen to when you draw really detailed pen and ink. You don't listen to really cool, serious stuff. Nope. I listen to things that make me feel disgusted with myself. This is a long song, isn't it? I hope it goes on for 10 more minutes. It has to be long because you're dancing at the club right now. Go to the opposite lane of this. When I want to listen to old goth music, I got playlists for that too. Puts me in other modes. None of them are my favorites. I like this one because it reminds me of South Park, how they make fun of goth music. It has that voice. That thing. I love that. It's so awesomely stupid. Riley says a great new goth album is Mana by Idle Hands. I'm on it. I need that dark synth wave. What I like about this song is it feels like the song from the band that the kid would feel really cool that you didn't know them. Like it just has that quality to it. I don't know what it is. Where it's just some asshole really likes it. This is good though. See, I'm not really detailing anything when I'm doing this. Like, I am, but I'm not. I'm not defining anything. There's not like a definite idea of the ornateness of this necklace. I don't have like a thought as far as what I'm drawing for tiny squiggly lines. It's just the feeling of that kind of pattern that you'd see on maybe some antique necklace or something. So that's the idea of it. I'm not really trying to perfectly display some kind of thought out design. It's just a shape, and then it's just a look that gets across that there's something underlying there on the whatever ball I'm doing here, that there's a pattern, but it doesn't have, like, watch here, let me zoom in a bit so you can see it a bit better. So like, look at this here. I know the lighting is coming from down here. All right, so how are the shadows going to drop? That's really all I'm thinking about. Where's the light hitting? Where are the shadows going? So I just need to make sure there's these lined out parts that are gonna catch light. Like all the white area is catching light. So as long as those little white areas are feeling like they're circling around or something, then I can fill in all the shadows around them. So I'm just implying that there's a pattern there or some kind of design, but I don't know what it is, and I don't, I'm not going to actually figure it out. I'm doing the same thing on the sides here. Yeah. No real thought, just an idea of lighting. I'm just trying to trick whoever's looking at this into seeing something that isn't really there. Your mind fills in the blanks. Lavelle says, how do you build up your own sense of aesthetic? I'm a huge fan of Xinchin. Not sure who that is. And a few years ago, he used to do typical game art, but all of a sudden he changed into his own way. What causes that? I think what causes that is just further kind of like a further deep dive into what you want to do, what you like, experience in general, just kind of working and finding little mini breakthroughs in your day. For me, it's a lot of repetition. It's a lot of constantly building and trying to push myself and trying to find out more about who I am by attempting to get closer and closer to what makes me happy to do art. And I think through that whole process, you just discover new things about your approach. And it's also the tools. Like for this right now, the tool of Clip Studio is also playing into the style. Like a lot of what Clip Studio does is making me think this way. I would do a version of this if I were just doing inks on paper, but I wouldn't go as detailed. And it's just because, for whatever reason, it's really enjoyable to do this in Clip Studio. And it just puts my mind into a different place where I think differently about my approach. I don't think it's very obvious how you find your style, though. I think it's a natural evolution over time because you're continually pursuing what you enjoy doing, and hopefully you come across it eventually. Why does it keep going back to this? I don't want to listen to this. Oh my goodness. Would your coloring process for this piece be similar or identical to your Wolverine tutorial? Similar in the way that I use the different layers and kind of building things up, but different colors and a different style for sure. It would be more muted colors for this. I would do kind of like a watercolor wash style for this. I get really lost in the weeds when I'm doing these tiny, tiny details. In the hands and things. It's real easy for me to zone out. Trotsky asks, do you ever look at what you're doing and think, holy shit, this will take a long time to finish? I always feel that when I'm not confident with the art I'm doing. Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot. When I did that Final Fantasy one, the Final Fantasy 6 piece, I was like, oh shit, it's gonna take me so long. Yeah, I mean, I felt that with a bunch of stuff. I've done just so many giant images this year that, I don't know. I'm trying to push myself. I'm trying to find a new level so it doesn't bother me. It doesn't stress me out. I know it's a huge investment of time and I prepare for it and I just eat shit. I'm like, I know I'm gonna eat shit because it's gonna take so long. But I also tell myself in my mind that I'm not the only one who thinks like that. I'm not the only one who gets intimidated by those things. But the difference that I can have from people who think that way is I can know that if I do it, I step beyond that threshold of the intimidation of the initial idea. And in that way, I kind of know that well, at least I hope in my mind that I'm doing something different than what everybody else is doing. And maybe it'll help me carve out my own path or something. Or just give me a leg up in terms of my capacity for discipline in a piece. I find that that's really important, to push yourself to this new place. And that's what that does for me. It's like having that new thing that I have to try to do, and I've never done it before. It's really intimidating. I'm scared I'm gonna invest all my time and just get lost, and maybe it's not worth it. I just have to trust in that I won't give up, and even if it's not perfect, nobody else is doing it. So it's like, just go for it. What's the worst that could happen, you know? And after doing one of them, like after doing the Metal Gear Solid one, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna live in this. I'm gonna do a bunch of these and just become the person that does these giant images. Because for so long I was just a person who did portraits. And I always felt like I wasn't delivering for myself my true potential. So having that new thing to shoot for, to give myself that hopeful, I don't know, leg up, or to bring myself to that place of potential or realizing potential, that was really important. So I don't know. It's nice. It's a nice challenge, even if it feels horrible when you start each one. Pinchivik asks, are you hyped for the new Evangelion movie? I didn't like these new remakes that much. Nothing beats the end of Evangelion. I mean, I'm not hyped, really. I haven't been hyped for much, you know, I don't watch a ton of anime. And, like, One Punch Man was the best thing I had seen in forever for that. Like, it felt different. It felt cool. It didn't feel overly fan servicey. It was a parody. It made fun of itself. Like, all that stuff I thought was better than anything that I had seen since, like, I don't know, Cowboy Bebop. John Axe says, I feel like there's something satisfying about the massive pieces as well. You've seen the Ben Sachs stuff. It all looks intimidating, at least on scale. I haven't, but I will look. Jacob Twitchell says, you ever catch yourself painting barely visible details that nobody is realistically going to notice? I feel like I waste all kinds of time going in with a 1-pixel brush and noodling. Yes, but I try to imply most of that stuff, so it's not like I'm actually rendering out the details. Like what I was saying about the necklace, like that same kind of idea. So, yes, I do that thing, but when I'm doing those details, I try and not have them be like crazy rendered, because otherwise you would just spend a million years on a piece. It's just not good. Riley says, I'm kind of known as that guy who always kisses hot girls. Well, that's really cool. That's a hill that you climbed and you got to the top. Wow. Protsky says, I want to make a large piece someday, but it's hard to come up with a design when you don't have an established character or theme going on. I should try making fan art to exercise this side. Well, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm more or less trying to sharpen my skills and push myself to new places, so that's why I did that, you know, the fan art kind of thing. It's like you have this instant group of characters that you can put into a composition, and it's an easier way to get something that's appealing and also helps you get to that new place you're trying to get to. I, of course, could do everything and just design a bunch of stuff, but I haven't. Well, I did for a job that's hopefully going to show at some point soon. Designed all the characters and everything. Bye, Andrew.
Pretty as rolling, my thighs are
Pinchivik says, asked this earlier. I don't know if it's a stupid question, but what tips do you have when merging different aesthetics? I want to do James Jean kind of work, but also be able to do anime video game fan art. You can do whatever you want. I mean, look at all the stuff that I do. I have so many different styles and approaches, and like I don't really adhere to any one thing. And I don't know. I find that idea so boring for me personally that I do all kinds of stuff. Like I like working in like a manga style. I like doing realism. I like doing just straight up cartoons. If you look at Steve Lichman, it's very simplified and just kind of goofy looking. Like I don't care about any of that. It's like whatever works for the project you're doing, or just whatever makes you happy, you know? Just aim for that. But don't think that you need to be any one thing, because you definitely don't.
All up in my face, you're not from the clique. Give me space, we might ride the shit. Most say that baby, they don't love the clique. I thought they love you when you make it. This some other shit. Yeah, this some other shit. Friends and business don't mix, so I'm brotherless. Trying to get back close, hit them with the stiff. Gears I shift.
Will you be able to share the stuff you worked on for the Miles Morales game? Is Jimmy asking that? I think I will be able to in the next couple months. Yeah. Yeah, Dylan. I like the Starvale stuff too. I want to do, I mean, I like doing that just in general, drawing around and coming up with different characters and things. But I don't know. I have a weird thing where the story needs to be done. Like, I need to have a reason for it. And I was writing more of it, but I was getting kind of bored. And there's no point in writing that stuff when I'm super bored, so I don't push it too much unless there's a natural idea that comes about. Like Dan and I, we were writing Steve Lichman stuff today, and I was just like, God, I love doing this. It's the most fun. I really want to get back into doing comics. Lavelle says, on your basics tutorial, will you be able to go over character design and the principles behind it? Yeah, I thought about doing that, just a more digestible approach to designing characters. I need to take a moment and basically write down very simply what I think about, because I think a lot about like character composition in a design and how important that is, and it's trying to find the best way to communicate those ideas that I think is the most important bit. So I'd have to get a bit specific on a character example and then show that. But yeah, I'd definitely be interested in going into more of that, because I did concept art for a long time for video games and things and movies. And I have my own thoughts on how to best approach making a design that's going to work at multiple levels. Joshua Barber says, I was advised to do more of a sort of Bernie Wrightson style I've been doing, but I also want to do looser stuff and try to steal some Shinkawa style. Should I focus? It depends. If you are trying to escape learning or whatever, like if you're trying to find an easy way out of something, then maybe ignore that impulse. But if it's something that just naturally makes you feel good about drawing and it makes you happy to do it and you feel like you're pursuing something that's meaningful and is going to lead to your kind of like evolution as an artist, then pursue that. Don't let anything kind of hold you back, really. Because, I mean, the amount of times, I mean, I don't know if somebody told you that, like who told you that, why they told you that, what the context for that critique was. But the amount of times I was told, like, you can't be a portrait artist because everybody does portraits, and then my portraits blew up online, like, and got, like, my whole career started. Like, I don't know. You got to take everything with a grain of salt. Whatever makes you happy and you think is leading you down a better road and a more productive one where you feel like you're naturally progressing rather than forcing it, then there's nothing wrong with that. That's a positive thing. And I don't think you should ignore the impulse to go after it just because somebody believes something of you. Protsky asks, besides personal stuff, is there any area that you love working on? Concept art, cover art, etc.? Love? Love is a strong word. There are things I enjoy, for sure. I definitely enjoy doing comic covers. I enjoy working on characters that are meaningful to me from when I was a kid. I would say the closest I get to love is when I get to come in on the ground floor of something, like a video game, and design characters for it and just kind of come up with my own stuff for whatever the concept of the game is. Like, I find that that's more interesting to me, and I get more excitement out of it, but...
It's that motherfucking gangster shit, nigga.
I can't compete with YG in the background. He's going to overpower everything I say. Okay, so Joshua followed up, says, since I'm not getting any work right now, I'm worried about scattering my attention and I'm hurting my chances. I'm probably overthinking it. Yeah, I mean, don't give yourself absolutes that you have to follow or, you know, arbitrary rules. What feels good is going to bring you to the best place. Lewis Whitworth says, any tips on dealing with the how the fuck am I going to do this? I don't know how to do anything feeling when starting a new project or commission. Dealing with that? I don't know. You kind of just have to, like, okay, so let me just say this. How I deal with that is I just assume that everybody who's ever done the thing I'm about to do has had that same thought. And I go, the only difference between them and me is that they did it. If I just do it, then I'm good. It's like I'm one step ahead of everybody else who gave up at this step. And I think the only thing that separates you from those whatever legendary people who do the things that you feel intimidated to do because you can't live up to that the only thing that separates them from you is that they did it, and maybe the first thing they did wasn't very good, but they kept on doing it. They had that thing that just, they didn't doubt themselves, or they did and they just sucked it up and did it anyway. It's like, whatever that is, that maybe you got to be naive, whatever, to just continually learn, or maybe you just don't care and you love what you do so much that you want to get through to the other side and just make stuff. I think it's just a matter of eating shit and then just accepting that it's not going to be perfect. I think that that's okay. I mean, that's how I deal with it, because I definitely had a complex starting doing comics, writing them, where I was like, oh, I'm not any of these people. Maybe I'm not that funny. Maybe, like, this isn't going to work out. But then you got to also look at, you know, Batman versus Superman. The movie came out. It's like, it's not some incredible movie. And look how many fans it has. Like, look how many people love that movie. How many people want the Snyder cut. It's like, come on. Like, we all know that that's not some great movie. Like, it's just not. It's like, but that got made, you know? And maybe you see that stuff and you go like, oh, that's really dumb. Like, I can't believe that got made. Aren't people stupid? And then you got to just be like, well, no, it's not that. It's that it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to just put something out. And maybe that overconfidence is enough to even carry it through and become something good, you know? You'll find your audience, is what I'm saying. So I just don't think you have to worry. And maybe if you do enough Batman versus Superman shitty things, you eventually become somebody who's so good that people forget you ever did that, you know? That happens all the time. So you don't have to be the best, and I don't think you can be the best without being bad for a little while. Like, I always have to tell myself, like, remind myself, dumber people have done all of the things that I want to do. So it's okay. It's okay to be dumb and do a thing and not know what you're doing. How many hours a day do I draw? I don't know. On average, I'm drawing or painting probably 7 or 8 hours a day. And I mean, like, what you're seeing now where I'm moving the pen. I mean, this is an unproductive version of me, what you're seeing right now, because I'm talking to you. I'm also listening to music. This is like a very casual version of me. When I'm in like tunnel vision, I don't really slow down, so I try to get as much done as possible. I just have a different outlook because I have, you know, a kid and everything, so I'm trying to make use of every second. Any other questions in the chat? Let me see. Pop, 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 pop. No. Okay. Am I reading any books right now? What am I reading? No, not really. I kind of stopped reading a couple of books that I was reading.
Tell me where would I go? Tell me what led you on, I'd love to know. Was it the blue night?
For a long time, I was just reading books on the Pacific Theater, World War II. That was a stretch of like a few years. I read like, I don't even know how many books. Just a ton of books. And then books on the Vietnam War. And like, you know that dad that just reads war books and talks about harrowing stories. I feel like that was me for a huge stretch of time. I just tell my wife stories that I read, and then my wife has so much like empathy for people that she would just start crying. That was a long time I did that.
But your random way swept me alone. Colossal sign, so I got lost.
That's your dad, Josh. Yeah, I never thought I'd be that guy, but I became that guy. There's just so many good books. With the Old Breed is one of the ones that really stuck with me. That's a great one. If you're looking for a book that's kind of a easy stepping stone into the Pacific Theater and just it's not so heavy on like facts the whole time, that's a good one. The Things They Carried is a classic. I don't know if you'd be into that. There's some dark books, but they're great. All right, let's tone it back a little bit and listen to Private Dancer. We've been getting too serious. We gotta feel that sexual tension again. Get back into the mind of Gannon, Pig Gannon. What makes him a pig? It's all that sex, you know?
And the men are all the same. You don't look at their faces. Ask their names. You don't think of them as human.
Lewis Whitworth says, I've listened to a few episodes of the Jocko podcast where he interviews the man who rode across the fence, and his stories from Vietnam are crazy. Yeah. Joshua says, it's not a bad type of dad to be. He rubbed off on me. What was the first one? The first book I talked about? Or the first book that got me into it? The first book I was just talking about was With the Old Breed. It's great. What was the one? I'm trying to remember. I mean, I'm sure that you could look at this book and think it's kind of corny, but I loved it. It was, what was the name of it? There's a movie based off of it. It's about World War II. The bird is the Japanese dude that ran the camp he got stuck in. I don't know why I just said that. Stuck in. The bird. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, Matsuhiro Watanabe. He's the bird. But I'm trying to find the book. Unbroken is the book. So, the book is Unbroken. And I didn't see the movie. The movie looked corny. The book is great. And at the end of the book, I'm not spoiling anything, but at the end of the book, you're with this person for so long in the novel that I felt like it was one of those ones where you feel like you know them. And not ashamed to say that I literally just sat next to my wife in bed and she was asleep because I had been reading late, and I just started weeping. Because it felt like time just vanished and the guy was suddenly not around anymore. It's crazy what books do like that. I don't know if you've ever had that experience where you're like, oh, holy shit, I thought that person was real and now they're gone. Yeah, I get really absorbed in books, for sure. But God, I wish I had a private dancer. Blueprint for Armageddon. That's Dan Carlin. I've listened to most of his stuff. I have a real hard time sticking with Dan Carlin because I feel like I get bored. And his voice makes me feel lame for listening to it. I described it as it feels like Patton Oswalt when he's doing his like fake dude voice. That's what Dan Carlin sounds like to me. What am I listening to? This is the Dum Dum Girls covering There's a Light That Never Goes Out. I have a ton of books that I haven't read. What I was doing, I probably should have just said this because I don't have like new books I'm reading, but my wife went to a pretty shitty school as a kid, so they didn't read any of the classics in her high school or middle school or anything. I mean, you may be able to relate to this, but she went to Hinckley High in Aurora, Colorado, and that school is just notorious for not being great. And they never really covered any of it, so I was going through and reading her all of the books. So I've been reading her. I read to her The Outsiders and Of Mice and Men, and I had a whole list that I was gonna go through with her. Because it's just like you miss out on so many references and culture and everything by not touching on any of that stuff. Well, Pinchivik said something really nice. Well, thank you. I mean, I'm glad. I mean, I don't know. $5 for Patreon, it just feels like it's the least guilty I can feel charging for something. Because I definitely have a hard time asking for money for anything. And I don't want to rip people off. That's my number one. My playlist.
Seem like the whole city go against me. Every time I'm in the street, I hear yak, 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 yak.
Man down, where you from, nigga? Fuck who you know, where you from, my nigga? Where your grandma stay, my nigga? This mad city I run, my nigga.
Brace yourself, I take you on a trip down memory lane. This is not a rapper, I'm slinging crack or moon cocaine. This is cul-de-sac and plenty cognac and major pain. Not the drill sergeant, but the stress that weighing on your brain.
Let's just listen to horrible music. This is good. This is Wasp. The song, which is a classic, is called Animal, and then in parentheses, fuck like a beast. Don't change the song now. It's not stupid enough. I need dumber music. How does the feeling of not wanting to rip people off affect your prices when you're working out deals? Oh, that doesn't factor in at all. Like, at all. I charge as much as I can within reason. I'm a businessman that way, but I don't treat regular people that way. I just know for a fact that when somebody's hiring you for a job, they have a certain budget, and if you don't meet that budget, then, you know, you're missing out on what they were going to give you money for. Like, so that's you know, that's something you have to account for when you charge for client work. Oh, I used to listen to Wasp all the time. I mean, I still do. I just go through phases. I listen to, I mean, I know it's, when people say this, they don't really mean it. But I feel like I kind of listen to a little bit of everything. I don't have anything I'm against. Hold on a second. I have to plug in my baby monitor here. It just died on me. Just watching my son sleep. Okay. I had to get that sorted. Let's listen to some Halloween music. Let's get back into... There you go. Is this going to be on Patreon later? I don't know how YouTube Live works. I don't know if once this stream is archived, all the music will be muted. I don't know how that is. Does anybody know? I just don't use it. I just really didn't want to do this without music, because then it would just be me in silence drawing Pig Gannon. Jacob Twitchell says, "Hey Dave, what was one of the weirder private commissions you've taken on? I once painted a man as both a Pokemon trainer and Kylo Ren. He was also my supervisor at the time." Okay, the weirdest one was definitely when I did a kangaroo girl in like a mechanical body, like a mechanical kangaroo suit, and the mechanical kangaroo suit, I don't know, it was like such a porny job, but it was just like kangaroo legs, human upper half, and it was just like a variety of shots of this one character doing stuff. And other than that, I got like a lot of creepy jobs where I would work on like, oh, this is my girlfriend. Please draw my girlfriend naked. And I'm like, just look at a picture of your girlfriend naked. Like, why am I doing this? And then it dawns on you, you're like, oh, you don't know who this is. And yeah, those kinds of things were creepy, and that was forever ago. But in the beginning of your career, you're just looking for money anywhere because you're starving. So I just took jobs wherever I could get them. So this stream will be archived, but it'll be muted. Well, that sucks. But this would be a terrible stream if I just had to do empty silence. Well, it's okay. We'll do streams and then probably schedule them out and then have them be one and done kind of thing. What's my favorite Zelda game? I don't know. Link to the Past is pretty good. Maybe, I mean, it's got to be Breath of the Wild. I mean, I want to say it's something more nostalgic, but Breath of the Wild is just crazy. I don't know if anything's better than that. Oh, that's a good idea, Pinchevik. Remove the desktop audio in editing. I'm just trying to texture everything out here. Make something that looks half decent. Applying some texture on the spiked wristband. You know that thing I was talking about of the dreading, the big thing you decided to do. Now that I'm doing all these little details, it's like, oh shit. Now I just think of this background stuff that I have. Where are the detailed parts? Are they down here? Yeah. Yeah. Like looking at this stuff now, I'm like, uh-oh. All of these parts I'm gonna have to detail out, and then the whole bottom part. Oh man. It's okay though. I did it to myself. Lavelle says, I've never played any Zelda games. Do you have to start with the first game, or does each game have its own independent story? Yeah, you don't have to start with the first game. You can do whatever. They're all different. Your cat just puked on the couch. It's really cool. My dog threw up this morning. I have a favorite Sabbath album. I mean, it's probably this album. I mean, this is one of my favorite Sabbath songs. I just like the feeling of it so much. What kind of music did I used to make? Oh, stupid music, mostly. You know, like joke stuff. Not like jokes where I'm trying to be funny, but more like theme songs to movies that don't exist, that kind of thing. I can show you. I won't play it now, but I can link it to what I did. I was trying to make like a fake Van Damme thing. Like make songs that were let me find it. Make songs for a Van Damme movie that didn't exist. Where is it? How do I say something? Oh, there it is. There you go. That was what I did forever ago when I was in my, like, I don't know, maybe like mid-20s or something. And then I have tons more music of stuff that me and my buddy Dan made. Our fake band was called 600 Degrees to the Testicles. Lavelle asks, do you feel design in games, film, or anime has gotten a bit sterile? Sterile? Why did I say it like that? Sterile? I mean, not particularly. I don't think so. I think in general, you're always going to have that. Like, you're always going to have standout design and boring design. Like, people look at things in retrospect because there's like a massive collection of good things to look back on from a time period. But then you also have to take into account how much dog shit came out during that same time period. Like the 80s, the 90s, 70s, 60s, whatever. Like every time period has so much of that. So I just think that that's, I don't know, that's a continual thing that happens. And then the stuff that stands out is going to stand out. shit. He says, right now in games, everyone's copying Breath of the Wild and League of Legends, or it's realistic. I don't see much innovations. I think when there's a lot of money in something, you don't really see a lot of innovation. You see it on the things that can take bigger risks. So I feel like you find that in more independent avenues. But even then, there starts to become a big influx of money in independent things, and then people end up doing, you know, like indie style, the thing, you know, where it's like, oh, that's the same kind of indie approach I've seen a million times. But I think the risk is too great when you're doing something with a giant budget, so it's really hard for those companies to justify deviating from what's popular. So I don't know. I get it, but it doesn't make any sense, because those same companies, if they just were brave enough to do the new ambitious or slightly off what's popular thing, then they'd have a much better chance of standing out, because it's the contrast of being different. I think that's like a natural I think it's like a natural thing in us where we go, oh, what's that? Because it's so different than everything else in terms of look. And then everybody copies that look. And they don't understand that the reason that look was so iconic was because nothing really was looking like it. Yeah, I mean, people should just make the things that they want to make for sure, but it takes a lot of guts to do that. And people with money who are putting a bunch of their own stake into a thing working out, they're too afraid of letting all of that go on a chance that it might be appealing, when they already know that even if it doesn't make sense, even though it's a stupid thought, they already know something works and makes money. It's like they want that. They want whatever the safe investment is. It's just hard. You have to just do some things on your own in order to establish it, that it's popular. Like, we had that same problem with Steve, where if we tried to turn Steve into anything, it wouldn't have gone anywhere. We needed to make the comic first. It's like, whatever idea you have, it needs to be something that you can point at. Because I've written multiple scripts and things for other projects, and they just don't land the same way without some kind of established material that's already proven. Like, you need to have something out there that you can point at and go, no, this would work because look, it's already popular. It just gives people much more confidence. So it's hard. It's a hard balance. Like, people can like a thing, they can think like, oh, that would work, that is great. But unless they have hard numbers behind it that makes them feel at ease, it's hard for them to do anything with it. Oh, geez. It's already late. All right. I got to get off of here. I've been on for 2 hours. Okay. Well, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. Thanks for all the questions and everything and for being people. I'll probably do more of these. I'm going to try and find a way to do it where when I do the streams, they don't get completely muted, or just another way of putting them out there. I don't know. After the fact. Or, well, here's the back and forth on it, right? If I put it on Patreon as a post saying, like, I'm going live, check this out, for everybody who wants to see it afterwards, it's just gone because of the music. But on the other hand, it's like, without the music, I get bored. So maybe it's more a thing that we'll do on let's think. Maybe I'll drop a Discord link for some hangouts, or there's always the possibility of, let's think about it. There's always the possibility that I just listen to music when you don't hear any of it. And then I put the video out on YouTube, maybe download it or something like that from my Google with all that. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I'll schedule these. That makes sense. Just something. I just want it to be a thing where you don't feel like, oh shit, I missed it and now it doesn't work. That sucks. But all right, we'll figure it out. It'll make sense in the future. Okay. I'll see you all on the next one of these, or I'll put out another video in the next day, probably, for either the basics or going over this like Zelda stuff more. But yeah, I'll talk to you all then. I hope you have a good rest of your night.